Put a call into Donald, see if he can help it.
Yeah, I know. That was some Trump Mobile right there. I must have accidentally got put on their servers. Fuck, dude. Okay, it's not even loading. One second, one second. Why did it just do that? I'm so pissed off right now, dude. Bro, that's so annoying because it makes me restart the stuff for YouTube. Oh, it's so annoying because it takes like an hour or two just to build it back up to what it was. Sorry, here you can restart from where you were. I don't know why the internet just cut out. I apologize.
So okay, so I think my question was, other than crimes personally committed by Trump and then the pardons, is there like a policy that he has that you think is bad for crime? Because I think his policies are generally good for crime, other than the crimes he's personally committed and pardoning.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there causes like more conflicts, particularly at protests when he sends the National Guard there, or him trying to send a National Guard to places that are, people don't want that. I think it's worse off in terms of crime, specifically in terms of his policy. We can point to like the bills that he passes, how it is going to increase the likelihood of there being people in situations in which they have lesser income, right, or is the case that they're doing worse off, increase the likelihood of poverty, like those types of things, like undermining the or actually, how about this? We could give even a comparison of like what would be true in terms of the child tax credit policy reducing poverty versus it not being as high under the Trump administration. So, given that there's a higher child tax credit, there would be a reduction in poverty, which could obviously impact the level of crime as well. And like also in terms of what you said earlier, I don't think you can just overlook things like a violent insurrection or his character, as those have huge impacts in terms of like how the culture views crime and like what's accepted in terms of crime, culturally speaking.
So I mean, I agree, but I also think
And
that
I
it's
actually
a
have one
far
more
worse
thing.
effect
I
when
actually
you
have
have.
one more thing as
Oh,
well.
sorry.
Can I say that?
Oh, go for it.
I do think that his policy and not prioritizing, people who are deporting people who haven't committed or who have committed violent crimes and bad crimes, because typically Democrats do have a prioritization on that. And he's actually like deported more people disproportionately who haven't committed violent crimes or bad crimes or without any prior criminal charges prior to like coming to the country undocumented, which is a misdemeanor. So like I think that actually increases the likelihood that there will be crime because it gets law enforcement to be focused on people who haven't committed crimes or aren't a threat to our safety and security rather than being like focused on that, if that makes sense.
Okay, I'll address the last one first because I think that's the easiest. The last point doesn't really apply because law enforcement that goes after like crimes you and I care about, like burglaries, robberies, etc., that is not the same kind of law enforcement that goes after immigration. ICE, right, which is going after all these deportations, would not otherwise have been spending its time like investigating the crimes you and I care about. So moving them and shifting their priorities to deportations won't affect that. It will just reduce crime though, because although I know you said he's deporting people who don't commit violent crimes, he is also increasing the rate at which he's deporting violent criminals too, or just criminals in general. I never really liked the idea of like violent crimes as a criteria because there's plenty of non-violent crimes that are still like truly awful. Like burglary is a non-violent crime.
Sure.
I still really don't want people breaking into my house. So
Yeah.
deporting people who've committed any crime other than merely the crime of unlawful entry, I still think does reduce crime, and he's doing more of that at a higher level than.
Not crimes that I would care about, and what I was essentially saying is that ICE focusing on, I don't think like ICE should exist. I think that law enforcement in terms of the border focusing on deporting people who have not committed violent crimes or crimes that we consider bad, right? Reduces the ability that they can spend time on doing that. Like we're putting resources and money into that when could be putting resources and money into deporting people to a greater extent who have committed these violent crimes or bad crimes that people care about. So it's the type of resources because the resources are being allocated from somewhere.
Well, they're being allocated from other functions of ICE, but also they're just being increased spending, right? The big beautiful bill or whatever he calls it is an increase in ICE funding so that we can hire more ICE agents to do more and faster deportations, which will result in an absolute number increase of criminals being deported and also non-criminals. And I know you're looking at rates because I've heard you make this argument before of like the crime rate doesn't go down, but the I don't actually care about the crime rate, right? I care about the absolute number of crimes in my neighborhood. Like right, hold on, like right, because I don't actually care if percentage wise the same percent of people in my community are committing crimes. If there are fewer crimes committed, I am still better off as an individual, right? So this is one of the rare situations where per capita and rate actually isn't as applicable because I care how many homicides are there within a 3 block radius of where my kids are, right? You know what I mean?
Okay, so I mean, although you do care about how many are happening in some instances, I think that you care more about the rate, and the reason why I'll say that is because the absolute level of crime increases with tourism. The absolute level of crime increases with people having more children, right? That doesn't mean that like we're worse off because of that.
Well, I think that's somewhat disingenuous. Do you think the
How
absolute
so?
amount of crime increasing with tourism, because the absolute amount of crime increasing with tourism is so de minimis, right? Like actual legitimate tourists are not coming here and like committing crime. Now, fake tourists are, so people who abuse like the ESTA visa program, like Chile was doing for a while,
Yeah, and
they would
actual
use the 90-day
immigrants
ESTA
coming to the
visa to come
country
do
aren't either.
burglaries.
And actual immigrants coming to the country
Well,
aren't committing these types of violent crimes and bad crimes either
that's simply not true. No, plenty of undocumented people are committing crimes and getting
at
deported
lower
for it.
rates.
That's a very routine occurrence. Not
At
really
lower
at a
rates.
low
You say
rate.
it's
What do you mean by it?
routine, but it's less routine than natural born U.S. citizens apparently.
Well, that's a misleading stat. It depends what part of the country you're in, right? So, like in the part of the country I'm in, which is Southern California, undocumented people actually commit a disproportionately higher amount of crime. So
Okay,
it
you give
really
me a
depends
single
on.
source that indicates that undocumented immigrants commit a higher rate of crime because we're talking about per capita rates.
Right. I mean, so I'm on my phone, so I can't give you it right now. I'm actually going more off my personal experiences and just my own like day-to-day
I
life.
live in LA. That's not a good explanation. Come on, that's ridiculous. My personal
Well,
experiences
well, you
definitely
live
do
in
not
LA, so it'll
indicate
be
that.
higher. It'll be higher for natural born citizens in LA because you have like Crips and Bloods and like a lot of gang crime, right? So that's usually natural born
That's
citizen.
but when I'm not going to
Because
be around that. I don't know what you're talking about in terms of like if we have an anecdotal explanation, that's not what I'm going to be around. Secondly, if you want to talk about like anywhere around LA too, I'm very commonly around LA and other parts of California as well, and the my experiences in that as well. So like I mean, I don't think that anecdotes are a good explanation for this. I can give you time to go look it up if you would like. Like you can go look it up. I just won't be able to hear you while you're out of the app. So I can talk to someone else or talk to the chat or whatnot until you get back. But you'd have to come back like every minute and 30 seconds just to see me and then go back out so it doesn't kick you. But if it does, I can just add you
that
back as well.
that honestly seems like a hassle. So I'll just concede the point that there's unlikely to be a professional study done that will compare crime rates for natural born citizens versus undocumented in a way that is favorable to my point. So well, I can stipulate that and move on
I
from that.
do have a bibliography in my bio though that shows multiple different sources that indicate that immigrants commit lower rates of violent crime, drug crime, and property crime than natural born U.S. citizens. And but you also did like make a specific point specifically about like L.A. Like I really wonder what you saw. Like I'm serious. I don't think you really have a
Well, so
basis for that.
I live in Orange County, right? So I'm actually relatively close to you. So I mean, I've been to Los Angeles a bunch. LA really does have a gang problem that's out of control. It's actually somewhat bad in Orange County, but it is far worse in Los Angeles. But like, wait, what was your exact question? What did I see?
Yeah, like so you're saying in Orange County. Orange County is run by conservatives. So your experience in Orange
Right.
County must be, due to conservative policy then, right?
No, because it's due to state policy. Crime is governed at the state level. Like our district attorney is a relatively conservative person, but like the laws that we are enforcing and the like,
It's
sentencing
not
structures in
just state.
California are all the
No, it's not just state.
what?
There's local jurisdiction for what they enforce as well.
Not no, not really. So there's like local county ordinances for low level misdemeanors, like having an open container, but that's not at all what either of us are talking about. Every single felony is completely governed by the state. And while a district attorney may have some discretion on how to charge those felonies, we're still limited by what the state is able to actually allow us to do. Like, for example, like the three strikes policy, right? So the voters vote for three strikes laws. And then the state has passed several laws to sort of gut that so that even if someone has committed a third serious and violent felony, they're not going to get life. And that's something that Orange County can't like directly control. We can't pass an Orange County ordinance that says in Orange County a third striker who's done a third serious and violent crime will get life. The progressives who run our state have decided that that's not how the law is going to work.
I mean, wait, sorry. What was the specific circumstance? I was trying to look at like Orange County charters to indicate
So
like
the
what
specific
they're
circumstance,
saying.
what I'm saying is any sort of like local municipality law or county law is only ever going to be a very low level misdemeanor in the county municipal code. It's not going to be affecting any crime you and I are talking about. Stuff that we care about, like robbery, is a state crime. And if someone commits three robberies, over three different periods of time, the state law says that that robber should go away for 25 to life. That's the three strikes law. That's what the voters have passed. That's direct democracy. The progressive state legislature we have has specifically gone in and gutted that law and removed the mandatory three strike sentencing, even if all three crimes are serious and violent felonies.
I mean, I could disagree with any specific progressive determinations within California. I don't think that's like demonstrating of like all progressives overall, or of like what the view would be. And you don't have to like categorize all progressives of that. Like that's not the specific policies that we'd be voting on here,
Okay,
especially in
I
the
guess let
general
me ask you:
election.
do you agree with that position? I'll just go with you.
I disagree with that position for sure. Like given that like I think that any violent crimes or anything else like that definitely should be what's it called? Should be like leading to like long term like them not being around people. I'm pretty like I do think that like a three strike law in terms of having like violent crimes associated with it would be like important given that it doesn't have like a negative impact in terms of any broader conditions. Like what would be the reason why they said so?
What would be the reason why they don't make the third strike a mandatory
Yeah,
25 to life?
what was the what was the claim that they made for that? Yeah, because I don't think that's
The claim
justifiable.
that they made was it was just standard. We want to believe in rehabilitation. We don't think someone should go to prison for life because of their third crime, and we want to like increase the amount of discretion that judges have by not mandating these heavier sentences. I mean, that's their reasoning. I obviously disagree with it, but that was their reasoning.
Well, a rehabilitation would be like through the funding of certain rehabilitation programs,
And
right?
those programs
So
certainly exist in prison,
people
but
people wouldn't just claim there's rehabilitation by claiming that they've been in prison, therefore they've rehabilitated, right? That's not the conditions of rehabilitation that progressives advocate for, right?
right. So, I mean, what the disconnect is progressives want rehabilitative programs, and we have similar programs like that. But I think what it comes down to is some people just do
Wait,
not
so
wish
wait,
to be
people are saying that
rehabilitated.
non-violent crimes also count as the third strike. So it would obviously depend on what
No, that's
crimes.
actually not correct anymore. That used to be the case. So it used to be the case that any third felony would get you struck out, but it was I want to say Prop 63 was passed that only a serious and violent felony will count as your third strike. So it has to be a like something like criminal threats to like unalive someone or assault with a deadly weapon or something like that. That will be required for a third strike.
Okay. So I would have to look at the conditions for that. Obviously, like I believe that like if it is the case that it's referencing violent crimes or crimes that we would consider to be bad in that context, like obviously like I don't want people who are going to be out around like doing that. If you'd like to provide a source, I would love for you to do so, but I feel like you're just going to say I don't want to do that and like I don't feel like it. But then like I
A
feel like
source
that
for
gets
which,
us into
sorry.
for what we're just talking about in terms of the three strike laws.
So I can provide no, I'll absolutely for that one I can provide a source easily. I don't have to like Google anything. So which specific claim about three strikes do you want a source for? I can just tell you.
Everything you just said. Like you just said specifically
Okay.
that the third strike doesn't have to be a violent or serious offense.
Okay, sure. So, I mean, you're gonna have to Google some nerdy stuff here, but if you're okay with that, California's three strikes law is governed by Penal Code Section 1192.7 and 667A,
Well, you
and
have
then
to.
Penal
How,
Code
how,
Section.
how, how about you give me like the specifics? Maybe like maybe a media company reporting on it, or give me certain specifics. Don't just say that like there is a legal code, because like that
Well,
doesn't
so
tell
if
me
you
that like you've
Google,
seen the specific legal code that says this. Like I don't think that
so
you
if
just
you well,
pulled it
no, I
off the
mean,
top of your head.
I'm a criminal prosecutor, if that helps me be more credible. Penal Code Section 667A, if you Google that, will have the direct law, which is the most possible primary source. I mean, it's not a news article, it's the literal state of the law. So, California Penal Code 667A.
And what does it
And
say
that's why I
then?
said it'd be nerdy. So it's going to list all the crimes that are strikes, and then it's going to say on 667.5, it'll say if someone has two strike priors and they've committed another strike as their crime, then they are up for a mandatory sentence of 25 to life. And then judges can strike or ignore, essentially dismiss the strike prior. That is Penal Code Section 1385, which is a different section of the code that the legislature passed.
Okay, so where within this? So 6675. I'm on it right now. This is current as of 2024.
I'm just pulling it up so I can give you the subsection. I'll go find it.
Sure. Give them a second, ever. In the meantime, if you're on YouTube, hit that thumbs up. If you're on TikTok, tap that screen. It'll help get it out to more people. This would be really interesting
So
to say, like, a criminal prosecutor votes for a convicted criminal. That's pretty interesting.
you would be surprised. Let me just tell you. Even in Los Angeles, go to Mr. Hockman's office in Los Angeles and see how many of his prosecutors likely voted that way. But So go Control F on the page for just 25, and that'll pop you down. But it should be subdivision D has some relevant portions.
I can hear you when you're out of the app. Just letting you know that.
So
I don't see anything
subdivision
that.
E2. Subdivision E2.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Where it's got the 25 to life section, and it requires as a condition in there that they've convicted of a strike for the third offense.
Wait, maybe we're not on the same thing. Is it California Penal Code 6675?
667.
667, not 5?
Correct. 667 subdivision E.
667 subdivision E. Alrighty.
I love the people in chat who say I'm not a prosecutor, like I'm just some nerd who just knows this for no reason.
D subdivision E for purposes of subdivisions and inclusive addition to the enhancements of provision. If a defendant has one or more prior serious or violent felony convictions.
So send then subparagraph.
Yeah, it says if a defendant
E.
has one or prior serious or violent felony convictions, as defined in Division D, that has pled and has been proved, the determinate term or minimum term for an indeterminate term shall be twice the term otherwise provided as punishment for the current felony conviction.
So that's if you have one strike prior, and then subdivision 2 underneath that says if you have 2 strike priors. And because E is applying to when you are convicted of a strike, right? So this is all under the section of you've been convicted of a strike. If you have 1 prior, 1 applies. If you have 2 prior, 2 applies. So,
okay.
But the
So
whole point
if
is it
defendant
only
has one
applies
prior
if,
serious conviction as defined in subdivision D, has it been pled or twice the term otherwise. And then wait, so then what is the point you dispute about this?
No. Your people in your chat are saying that you can get sent to like 25 to life for a non-strike, and I'm saying no. Look, here's the law. It says it has to be a strike. So if you have 2 prior strikes and your new offense is
We weren't saying for a non-strike. They were
25
saying you were saying that it didn't have to be a violent or serious. If they had one, you said if they had a violent or serious felony conviction, that they would just be able to get out. That's essentially what you were arguing, right?
Yes.
That's
And
not
so
what this says,
that's the
though.
3
This
strike
says
law,
if you
though.
have the one or
Right.
violent, serious felony conviction, that it doubles the time, right? And then if it is the case that you have another one, it's imprisonment in the state of prison for 25 years.
Right. So
what are you talking
that was
about?
because, right. So because this is in response to you saying that, do you have a source that says it has to be a strike for the 25 to life to kick in? The part that says that the judges can ignore that is what I was saying earlier. That's 1385, which is a different section.
But
I
like
was
you were
told by
saying, it was
you and
the
chat-
3 strikes, right? So if they have 3 strikes, you said that if one of them weren't, right, they were able to get away, right? Which was not true. It was double their time specifically for all of them, right? So and then
What?
for the other,
No.
Go ahead.
If I'm saying if they have 2 strike priors, meaning before the current crime they've committed 2 strikes and then they commit another strike, then they are eligible for 25 to life. If they commit a crime that's not a strike, then they're not going to get 25 to life. Like, as in to say, you're not going to get 25 to life for like stealing a pack of gum, which is like the mythical story that like a lot of progressives like to talk about. Like, no one should go to prison forever for stealing a pack of gum. And I'm just saying that's not how the law works.
Yeah. If someone steals a pack of gum, do you think they should go to prison?
Well, not for life. No, of course not. Like, that's the whole point. That's not the law.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. I'm confused though. Like, I mean, obviously, like, I don't know the certain conditions of the law in each of these respects. You probably would know more than me, given that you're a criminal defense attorney. So I'd have to ask you specifically what are the current aspects of law, and what I would agree with, what I disagree with, would be obviously relevant.
So the
to
current
that.
Sure.
have to-
So it's
okay,
it's easier if instead of reading the penal code, I just like I can just tell
I know,
you
I'm
the law.
looking at
and
it,
in
but
any
like
part
you're
you
not
don't
telling me
believe-
what part of the penal code you
Okay.
disagree with. That you said that's pro
penal-
criminal.
sure.
And by the way, this is the comparison. We're not even talking about Kamala Harris. We're not even talking about Joe Biden. We're not talking about anything relating to
Sure.
Donald Trump in terms of his policies.
If
We're
you
talking
like, we
about
can go back to higher level
progressives.
macro
Let me
stuff.
clarify. We're talking about progressives in areas in California that have certain policies. So just progressives in California is one not representative of the rest of the Democratic Party. So if I disagree with certain progressives, you can't demonstrate that this is like the Democratic Party, right, as overall is like, pro crime. Like that doesn't justify your
Well,
point at all.
This is I mean, so it kind of does though, because I'm about to hit you
No,
with who's the Attorney General of California though, like before the current one.
you would say Kamala Harris, but that doesn't mean that she did this law.
Yeah.
What was the law when
but it's
Kamala
but
Harris
it's
was in
Kamala
office?
Harris.
What was the law when Kamala Harris
Right.
was in office? This is the law now,
It
well after.
no, well, it's the law now, but it was also the law when she was in office.
Okay, wait, can you give me a source on that?
That like what date? I mean, so on the page you were on, you can just scroll up and you can look to see when the law was enacted. It was, and then compare that to the
2024.
years Kamala was in office.
It says
Okay,
2024.
well, yeah, because it's updated every. Okay, so I guess this one, don't even go to the code. Just Google what year
And
is the three
like, does
strikes
the
law
Attorney
from.
General create all of the law?
No, but she's in favor of reducing the three strikes liability. You
Wait,
can
wait,
find
so
statements
wait,
of her as Attorney
wait. That's
General.
a second. Oh, wait, you were arguing that the law was this way because of her, right? Or that she wanted the
What?
law
No,
to
no,
be this
no.
way.
I'm saying she wants the law to be softer than it is, right? So
In what
here,
way?
let me just give you my
What
solution
specific
to make it
policy does
easier.
Kamala Harris support that wanted the law to be to be more soft? I mean,
She talks constantly about how we need to end mass incarceration and that the three strikes law is overly harsh. That is
what?
the specific issue I have with her.
Wait,
She did that as
what?
Attorney General in California.
Okay, wait. That doesn't mean that she ran on that as president, right? Secondly, as it relates to this,
Okay, I don't care if she
say
runs
that she
on it,
does,
it's still her position.
Wait, what was her position on the three strikes law?
So she thinks that it's mass incarceration and that she opposes it. She's constantly talking about mass incarceration
yeah,
as a problem.
so. Are you against like the drug war?
Am I against I don't like that we lost the drug war. I think drugs are destroying our communities and like ruining people's lives. I think
Okay, for
drugs are, like,
example,
the
do you
worst
think
thing
that
ever.
people should be in prison for M drug?
For what?
M drug.
M?
Yeah, I can't say it on the live because
Um,
I'll get restricted. Like, don't say any of
Okay,
the
I'm just
names
trying
of the
to do
specific
okay, I
ones
think I
because you'll
understand
get
the one
taken
you
down.
mean.
Yeah.
Okay. So do I think so this is where the distinction, I mean, now we're getting to more nuance. The user is someone who I believe is a victim, but the dealer is someone who I think we should probably do what Mao did.
Wait, for M drug?
For wait, okay, maybe we're
I'm talking about leafy
the
greens,
crystalline
bro.
substance.
Leafy greens.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the white crystalline substance.
No.
Oh no, I don't
And
really care
even
about
then,
the
that's
grass now.
unhinged.
I mean, I'm not mad about I'm not that mad about the grass. No, for the crystalline stuff and the powdery stuff.
Wait, but like, okay,
no,
so
dude,
when
like,
she's talking about
that's the problem.
when she's talking about mass incarceration, she's talking about the fact that there are different types of laws like this that specifically are putting people in prison without good reason. She's not saying people who have committed violent crimes and these horrible, atrocious crimes that they shouldn't be put in prison to longer extents. She literally ran on her campaign on putting those people behind bars and literally ran against one herself. You're literally you supported a violent sex offender for president. You know that, right? You said we shouldn't talk about the character, but I mean, if you want to talk about Kamala Harris, you want to bring up Kamala Harris in terms of what she did, we can talk about that. But let's also talk about Donald Trump being a violent sex offender himself.
Sure. First, let me say she's not talking about the leafy green. Leafy green stuff has not been something that gets you sent to prison in the state of California for decades. So when she was Attorney General, she was not talking about that. Leafy greens haven't gotten you in prison for a long, long time. So, but the other
That's
drugs
what she was saying
that
from
do
a
get you
federal
in-
standpoint. She's been saying that since like the 2010 and stuff. She's been saying that about the federal
Sure,
positions.
and I
She
will
was talking
agree.
about-
I will agree.
She's
for
not just
that
talking about
one.
mass incarceration just in California. She was talking about mass incarceration around the entire United States.
Well, but when she was the Attorney General, she was referring to California.
Okay, so what certain aspects was she disagreeing with? Was she saying that people who have committed violent crimes and these atrocious crimes that they should have lesser penalties? Was she saying that?
Yeah, yes, that's what I'm saying, because she doesn't think life. And now, I'm not saying she thinks they should walk free, but she does disagree with the 25 to life imprisonment, which I think is very important to protect our communities.
Where did she say that she disagrees with the 25 to life for people who have committed incredibly atrociously bad crimes?
She's described the three strikes law, which, as we've just established, is only for violent crimes. She has described that law as mass incarceration. That's why I'm bringing up that phrase.
That doesn't mean that her position on the matter is that she wants people who have committed those types of violent crimes on the street. You're misleading people when you say that. You know that, right? She could totally agree with a certain policy, right? Maybe it's not that policy. Maybe it's constructed slightly differently, right? And it's specifically targeted towards people who have committed those types of crimes. It's just constructed in a different manner. So I think you're actually being incredibly misleading when you're acting like this is the only type of law that could exist, that could ever address that type of crime. Or that she was advocating that people have committed these violent sex crimes and violent crimes in general to be like let on the streets earlier. No claim has been justified for that. Even if she did say that it was mass incarceration due to the three strikes policy, she could agree with some other construction of the policy. That's not justifying that that's her position on the matter.
Do you genuinely think her position is she would like people in prison as long as the three strikes policy, or do she want them in prison for less time?
I would
Because
assume that she
that's
wants
my claim.
people who have committed violent crimes and atrocious crimes such as that in prison for the rest of their life. But give me any evidence that she thinks that their sentences should be less. Not that she specifically disagrees with a certain construction of policy, but she specifically believes that people who have committed those types of sex offense, oh, he got a fuck. He got firearms and dangerous policy. No. God damn it! I wanted to hyper fixate on that point. No, dude. God damn it. God damn it. Dude, why did everything go wrong in that conversation? Like, my fucking YouTube went down and didn't work. They kick him off for violent, like, firearms and stuff. Like, bro, let me make that. I was just getting to the point. Like, that is, I think, one of the most important points is that is not demonstrating that Kamala Harris's policy is that she wants people who have committed these atrocious crimes to, like, get out scot-free. You know what is telling you specifically that, like, people who have committed violent crimes and atrocious crimes that they should get out early is when Donald Trump pardons the violent rioters. That's explicitly a specific individual with a specific case where that's true, where they're letting them out. Whereas, like, say, if you support a difference in policy, it could be that she disagrees with elements of that policy and how it's enforced, but she still thinks people who have committed atrocious crimes and bad crimes like that should be in prison in the long run. Like, dude, I really wish I could have, you know, like, been able to run that point more. You know, I will give him, he's one of the more intellectual or intelligent people I've talked to who is a Trump supporter. I will give him that. I definitely think that is, like, completely wrong, though. And also, like, I feel like I could get him and convince him that, like, you know, Donald Trump, it makes us worse off in terms of crime. Because, like, if you care a lot about crime, I think he does care a lot about crime, that would definitely, like, I feel like sway his view. Like, cause, like, I feel like it's indefensible to say that Trump is better in terms of crime. Like, if we hyperfixate on, like, certain progressives you disagree with in terms of crime, sure, I think we could probably both have disagreements with certain progressives on crime. Like, obviously, like, we have disagreements with everyone across the political spectrum on crime. But, like, that, I think that's not necessarily relevant to, like, the general election, though. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
19. Hello?
How old are you? Do
19.
you support Donald Trump?
Yeah.
What's your birth year?
2005.
And you're 19, one month.
October.
Okay. Why do you support Trump?
Is it okay if I ask you, like, questions about Democrat policies?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, what's your stance on, like, the COVID inflation?
Like, it was caused from global. It was global inflation. It was caused due to supply chain issues. Like, mainly.
So you don't think that the money printing had anything to do with it?
Sure. Yeah, it had some relevance. Yeah.
So would that not be a negative for the Democrats? For, like, the massive inflation we experienced during
No,
Biden's
money
administration?
supply increased to a greater extent under the Trump administration. Plus, if you want to look at like, policies that they passed to influence the increase in the money supply, that would be, like, debt-related spending, and Trump signed off on more debt-related spending.
Wait, that first one's really interesting. What do they measure, or, like, what's that metric for money supply?
M2 and M1, both of them indicate that it increased more under Trump.
Like, the percent increased or the total amount was higher?
Total amount higher and percentage increase was higher.
Really?
Yeah.
What? I looked it up before this, and it was like, I think it was in 2019. It was like 12 million, or not million.
That 12,000.
The number was 12 something, and then it was like 19 in
Are you
2021.
talking about M1 or M2? I'll pull it up right now.
M2. What's the difference?
There's just small differences in the graph. It's not really relevant for me to go over right now. But here, I'll pull up M2 on the graph right now. I'll literally show you. Chat, I don't know why my internet's like lagging a little bit for some people. I do really apologize for the lag. I'm so sorry. I'm really pissed off at how like it does that sometimes. It's so frustrating. Like, I really hate it. I wish it didn't. Okay, so here's when Trump got in office.
Mm-hmm.
Right about here in January. It's about 13,000. Trump leaves office and it is 19,000. Biden gets in office, it's 19,000. He leaves office and it's like 21,000. So that's like a 2,000 difference for Biden, and for Trump it's like a 6,000 difference. And it would be more for Trump than Biden because 6,000 is going to be more of 13,000 than, 2,000 is going to be of 21. I mean of
Yeah,
19.
but the highest peak was during Biden's administration, like in the middle.
That's
of it, on that
disingenuous. We're
graph.
talking about the level of increase.
Yeah, but why did he keep increasing it after?
What do you mean? Like, why did it keep it? Well,
Like, it
that's
was
not
already
him.
si-
He doesn't increase the money supply. Like, that's not Biden.
Well, is like the American Rescue Plan, for example, is that
Why did
not
they
a
pass
way of
policy? Policy because it is the case that the country needed things. Like, we needed stuff. So, what you want to compare the? I'll show you real quick. This is Trump and Biden. CFRB, and it will show you the distinction and the level of debt-related spending under each administration. Take a look at this. Oh. It's not loading. 1 second. There we are. Right here. There we are. Boom. You see it? See how it's more under Trump than it is under Biden? Like, by
Yeah.
a significant amount. And, like, literally the non-COVID related spending of Trump, debt-related spending he signed into law, was to a greater extent under Biden. And something misleading a lot of people like Charlie Kirk bring up is that there were more debts incurred under the Biden-Harris administration than there were under the Trump administration. But that wasn't signed into law by the administration. This is a reference from the Committee for Responsible Federal Budget, a nonpartisan committee from the federal government, of what they signed into law themselves.
So you're saying the inflation was bad because of supply chains, right?
Yeah, that's a big reason, main reason, yeah. Due to COVID, yeah.
And how do you track that?
Because of the effect, like, around the globe and what economists indicated to be true. Like, how do we track that? We track that based upon data, like, given that it happened around the world. We also track it based upon, like, how much we're producing as a society, right? We can identify that. And we can also see the price increase. If we see that demand has stayed around a similar amount, and it is a case that the price is increasing, we know from a theoretical standpoint, from an economic standpoint, that it's because supply has gone down. And it's also very intuitively obvious that supply would go down when we're staying at home, right? Or people are getting sick, or people are dying.
Yeah.
And, like, that affects supply chains that especially harm us in the long run, because those supply chains sometimes take a while to come back to the same degrees that they were prior.
Do you think
Especially
that
a
was
global
worth
pandemic.
it?
What was worth it?
Like the shutdowns and stuff. Like, what are your thoughts on the actual like lockdown policies and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the lockdowns were stringent enough where it would have done the effect that it did in a positive manner. I think that we should have done, I think that one thing that lockdowns did really good, and I mean, I'm not quite sure what we should have done necessarily. I'm not positive on that, but lockdowns to some degree, I think, gave us a little bit of a leeway for reducing how many people got harmed until we got to the vaccine. This happened under Trump's administration, by the way, but I do think to some degree, it provided a good pathway. And would it be better if we didn't do that in the first place? I don't know. I'm getting lag. I'm so annoyed. Do you see me?
What?
Do you see me? Do you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, I can. You're still up.
Am I lagging? I might just hit a
So
restart completely.
you're not lagging for me, really.
Okay.
So, what do you have to say about like the Biden's like mental state through his administration?
Are you leaving? Okay. For sure. Sorry. Sorry, what were you saying? Biden's mental states? I think that they were bad. I called for him to drop out before he did.
Yeah, do you not see it as a problem that he was like the chosen candidate?
Okay. Hey, man, I'm sorry. My internet's so bad right now. It is me. I looked it up. It's totally me. I might just end my stream for today, man.
Oh, okay.
If you'd like to come up another day, just remind me.
Yeah, have
and
a
I'll
have a good
totally
night,
debate
Parker.
you. Like, if you're gonna be on tomorrow morning, I'll be on like super early tomorrow morning, like about 12 hours from now. I'll be live, 8 a.m. Pacific time. If you want to
Okay.
come in the morning, I'll debate you then.
Okay, have a good night, man.
You too. You too. Jaden said would go live in the comment section. Everyone, so go look up Jaden LeBron in the comment section, or if we're on YouTube and stuff. I am gonna get off for tonight, everyone. I'm really sorry. If I hit a restart, I'd only get like an hour. So I mean, I feel kind of bad. It's just I don't know why it's lagging so bad. Like I don't know why it randomly does that. Because if I have to restart, you know, it's just gonna be horrible anyway. So I don't know. Go check out some of my YouTube videos. I'd really appreciate that, everyone. Thank you, everyone, so much for coming through tonight. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. I will be on tomorrow. I will see everyone tomorrow. I love y'all so much. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, y'all.